welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news conservatism. 40 years of power, liberation, first to the Republican and then the tyrant. We have with us a very special guest with us, Vicki Roughton, who is from Fendale, Washington. She is a former Ucantrade employee, import-export company up in Fendale, Washington. She unfortunately had the inglorious event occur recently in which someone hacked her private Facebook page, where she kept her private opinions, her First Amendment right reserved to her own comfort. They hacked her page and then took her personal writings regarding her reactions to Black Lives Matter and sent them to her boss, her employer, Ucantrade, and unfortunately threatened to go to the news if they did not fire Miss Vicki Roughton. Now, I know for a fact that many of us are on Facebook, and I myself have public pages because I'm a public figure. But we have concerns when Facebook cannot protect even your private information. And so I want to say this also before we get started with talking with Vicki, that I have spoken with the general manager, Bryce McDermott of Ucantrade out of Fendale, Washington. And he stated that he had no comment regarding the personnel matters of employees and no other comment regarding this particular matter itself. So I appreciate the fact that Mr. McDermott spoke with me this afternoon, and we look forward to a great conversation with Vicki Roughton. Vicki, I am so sorry in this economy that you lost your job. Can you tell us?
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. No money in a week. File for unemployment could be denied.
Well,
it's not fun.
exactly. At least you have one more week of $600 COVID-19 dollars. You know, just joking there, but you are a very lively person. How long have you been working at Ucantrade in its supplement organizations?
It would have been 3 years, August 14th.
Wow. And you are a bubbly young lady. You seem to be one of those dastardly.
I take pride in what I do.
Yeah, it seems like you're one of those dastardly persons that comes in on time, leaves on time.
Oh my gosh. Because I was the only person working in the warehouse as team lead, just to make sure that the job got done. The only one.
What was your title? What was your responsibility at Ucantrade?
I was a warehouse team leader.
And what exactly does a warehouse team leader do?
You're basically head of a team to get your customers' orders out the door and shipped out via UPS, FedEx, USPS. So you had orders to fulfill.
Now,
It's basically a distribution center in a roundabout way.
exactly. So you were responsible for making certain that those PPEs and all that other stuff that people needed at the hospitals and everywhere else, people were getting that because you were doing your job as a team leader, right?
That's correct.
Wow. So you were considered one of those.
From the beginning of the shift to the end of the shift to make sure the job was done at the end of the day. And I succeeded every day.
How many hours did you work a day?
8. Well, I've worked up to 10, but minimal of 8 unless it was COVID-19 time, and then time was like 4 hours. But
Exactly.
yeah, normally 8.
Exactly. So how much stuff did you get out the door every single day as a result of what your work was?
What was that?
How much packaging and stuff did you get out every single day as a result of working with your team?
Oh, it could have been as high as 180 packages.
Wow.
A lot. It could be a lot.
Yeah. And you were dealing not only with America, but also Canada. Am I correct?
Well, most of our customers are Canadian.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
So you are a hardworking woman. Let me guess, Ucantrade probably warned you that you were a poor employee, that you weren't the kind of caliber employee over time that they needed. They were looking for someone better, right?
Absolutely not. I was actually highly respected by management and other team members. Otherwise, I would never have been promoted to a team leader if they didn't think highly of me.
Exactly. Now,
I was loyal to them.
I can imagine. I can imagine. If you went through COVID-19 with them, yeah, I can imagine. Um,
Yeah, and I never missed a day. I never missed a day of work this year.
you know, you beginning to sound like my executive producer. That forces me to come to work. So, let me get this straight. You're a great employee. You are one of the most affable guests I've ever had, because I can actually see your smile through the audio, and all of a sudden, you're not wanted at Ucantrade. What exactly took place that Ucantrade said, "Wow, you are a volatile employee. We can't handle you. We don't want you here. Bye bye."
It's pretty simple. Facebook profile got a hold of my personal opinionated post. They deemed it as racist. They took a copy of it and posted it to Ucantrade's Facebook page, and then said, "You have a racist working for you. Do you support this?" And then he threatened me on private messenger that they had 48 hours to fire me or they are going to news media.
Okay. Wow. Okay. You got 48 hours to quit.
No, for Ucantrade to fire me.
Oh wow.
I didn't have a choice to quit. For Ucantrade to fire me, or they were going to news media.
Wow.
With my post.
Now let me just ask you, Vicki, because I know offhand that you are a Christian Republican,
Yes.
but and a conservative. But let me just guess, you were probably caught on film wearing a Klan mask or something, or that you were probably part of the radical Antifa group. Am I right about this? Not at all.
Nope. Nope. I haven't even worn a face mask, if that tells you anything.
You're a good American. You're a good American. So this was written. This is what you wrote in your private First Amendment right, okay, which apparently your boss does not subscribe to. You wrote, "If the black people think the great U.S. of A. is so bad, why don't they go back to Africa? Not play in the NBA, not play in the NFL, etc. Go back to Africa. By the way, Africa sold their own people, beat them, stole them from their own families. Why to go to the U.S. of A. to become a slave? Those people didn't have a choice. They were forced. But how many of the slaves stayed after President Lincoln abolished slavery? Why? Because then they were paid and they would never go back to a country that gave up on them. So if you tell me about how you're so mistreated in America, go back to your roots, Africa. I dare you. Nope, you would rather claim yourself as mistreated in America. Why? I see nothing but USA now separated blacks versus whites once again. But a white person can drive through a dominated black city and could get attacked by the blacks because they are white. I heard a story that an innocent white man was pulled over by law enforcement at a stoplight. A stoplight. Why? Because that officer warned him for his own safety to get the hell out of there. Because he was in a black city and his life could be in danger. Oh, by the way, this was a BP worker from around here, Ferndale area, that had no idea he was in danger. But if that cop never told him the danger of him being white in a black neighborhood, he may have never returned to his family in Whatcom County. Now, How wrong is that? But you don't hear that stuff. Oh, but Black Lives Matter. So does White Lives Matter. And why are now blacks killing their own black officers? Sorry, but all lives matter. Now, I read that earlier, and the only thing that I could have seen in there that might have been seen as discriminative or derogatory was the NFL NBA thing, which would draw upon a stereotype. But the rest of it is all factual. And in fact, even that's factual because the majority of the NFL is made up of black players, and the majority of the NBA is made up of black players. So, what exactly in here do you believe would have been considered racist?
I don't know. I do not understand how my opinion can be so rated as racist.
Exactly.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I still don't understand it. And I've had numerous of people tell me, yeah, everybody's opinion is this or that. But then again, that's their opinion, correct?
Yeah.
I respect that. Everybody has an opinion. But to deem somebody as racist based off of their opinion, that's wrong.
Now, I wonder in the employee guide that was put together for you, was there anything in the employment guide which indicated that you could be fired for expressing your First Amendment opinion rights to a social media page?
Not First Amendment, no. It does not state that I can be fired for an opinion based off of my First Amendment right. No, it does not state that.
Okay, so apparently, now I can imagine that Ucantrade, understanding the time frame of this country that we're in, that there are riots going on, that just south of you in Seattle, they've taken over 6 blocks and have made this police surrender all of their armaments to the people in the CHAS or the CHOP or whatever. I'm quite certain that they were a little tentative about racial issues. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, I mean they even supported another team member that went to one of the protests in Seattle.
Oh wow!
And he was warranted with a 2-week quarantine. Hey, welcome back. You're on quarantine for 2 weeks. Great job. Let's go to a protest. I support you. They have other team members posting other stuff that could be highly, worse than mine, highly opinionated as racist. They're still there.
Wow. So wait a minute. Because you said that white lives matter and that all lives matter, you were considered a threat on the job, but others were actually given the permission by Ucantrade to go to Seattle for a protest and come back infested with their COVID-19 disease. No, I'm just joking, but the bottom line is that you were treated as a pariah and they were treated as patriots. Is Ucantrade a leftist organization or supporters of the left?
I will not comment on that because I do not know.
Okay.
I won't comment on that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, that's a very good answer. So, in this particular case, I'm quite certain that they had a staff of people review your documentation and come up with a determination as to its viability of a First Amendment protection. Am I correct?
I was told that it was investigated. Now, who investigated it? I don't know if it was specifically just Bryce McDermott or the owner, Greg Quidquit. I don't know who did that. I heard that the owner was in communication and he had heard everything and he was in agreement of it.
Oh, they were in agreement.
It's basically what it comes down to is what did Greg McDermott tell the owner, because the owner was not in the office.
Now, I'm quite certain that they sat down with you over a number of days to uh, basically deliberate on this particular matter?
They did not.
They did not. Okay.
They did not.
Okay. So let me ask you, how was this handled in your workplace per se? I'm quite certain that they gave bravados to the individuals that were sent off for protests in Seattle. How did they handle your matter?
Okay, so I was working in my warehouse, and Bryce McDermott came in, and I could tell that he was agitated, very looking intimidated. I was just like, oh boy, what is going on? Had no idea. Took me outside, handed me my post and said, did you write this? I said, yeah, I wrote it. That's my opinion. He goes, well, why? Why did you write this? I said, it's pretty simple. I said, I was told in a different conversation that black lives were the only ones that mattered because they were the only ones that were a minority and because they were the only ones being mistreated in the United States.
Wow.
That's what triggered my vote.
Okay. Wait a minute. Now
I told Bryce McDermott that.
Now Bryce McDermott, the general manager that I spoke to earlier today, who would give no comment on this particular matter, told you that the only people suffering in America were black people, and that they are minorities, and should be accorded certain affections that are not given to you.
No, Bryce didn't tell me that.
Okay.
That's what triggered. Somebody else had told me that. That's what triggered me writing my post.
Okay.
Bryce McDermott never told me that.
Okay.
But I told him that that was the reason why I did that post.
Great.
So
That's
then
clear.
I asked him if I was being terminated, and he said, well, he goes, based off of what you just told me, now I'm going to put you on suspension.
You're on suspension because you made
an suspension pending an investigation.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. I mean, what else could I say? So I got my stuff and left. Had to go back there because I had obviously the keys to the warehouse, and he wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to his office, and it was just me and him. And my my goal was to just walk into his office, place the keys on his desk, and leave. But that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into his office, put my keys down on his desk, and he was on the phone. He hangs up on the phone. He goes, wait a minute. He goes, come into my office and close the door. I'm like, oh boy.
Come into the office.
So do you have anything else to say?
Now, before you go on, he asked you to come into his office. Was there a legal attorney there? Was there a secretary there? Was there any other witness there?
No. It was me and him.
Okay. And carry on. What were you saying in terms of what happened after that?
He asked me if there was anything else that I wanted to say, and I basically just reiterated what I had told him this morning. And then he went on to say, that he had had several complaints, which I know now was the fake Facebook profiles friends that all emailed him.
Yeah.
Or contacted him to complain about my post, because I was told that. But he said that it basically went against his opinion of what he believed in, what the company believed in, and that what I wrote was highly racist. And I said, are you calling me a racist? He said, yes. Calling you a racist based off of your post.
Wow. Now, you are a woman of Christian magnitude. You are a conservative. You're not part of any right-wing anti-government group. You're a good woman who shows up to work every single day, puts in the 9 to 5, and produces well for the company. Now, is there anything about racism written in the company book?
Not specifically racism, no.
Okay. Is there anything about the values of the company that are written that precludes even people who they like uh, making comments regarding Black Lives Matter?
Their very first their very first sentence in their social media is that they encourage they encourage people to write what they want to write.
Wow.
They will not discourage it.
Ah.
It's a mixed thing. They support not discouraging, but if they don't like it, boom, you're fired.
Exactly.
So they don't agree with it, boom, you're fired.
So
if it's not against their morals or what they think should be in the business, boom, you're fired.
now let me get this straight. If you had written that the statue of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln should be pulled down and that cities should burn as a result of not uh, applying better justice to black people, you wouldn't be having this conversation with me today, would you?
Most likely not.
Wow. So is that separate but equal?
Absolutely not.
Vicki Roughton.
Equality, I don't even know what that word means in this world right now.
Exactly. Exactly. Vicki, Facebook didn't seem to be able to protect your private information because this was.
It does not for anybody, and if anybody thinks that it does not. All it takes is a friend to like your post, and if their friends see that that person liked your post, they can go, even though it's private, they can go and look at that post and read it, and then turn you in. It's not private. It's not private, and it's not secured in any way, shape, or form, as I have found out.
Exactly. Now, let me just ask you this in closing, because I'm a black man, by way. I own my own television network. I don't look for any white person to give me kudos one way or the other, and I don't try to oblige myself based on race to people. I try to do a good job presenting the good news to everybody. So I'm gonna tell you right now, what I read from you, I was not offended in the least bit. And in fact, and be honest with you, and to be honest with the people of Ucantrade, some of the things that she said, I've actually said on this show, on this program, on this network, and in other interviews with other people. And they did not consider it racist. They considered it a tolerable reason approach to dealing with the issue. And to be honest with you, Liberia was created under Abraham Lincoln so that black slaves could be sent back to Africa. So she didn't say anything that was absolutely racist at all. All things were factual. Now, I'm quite certain that you have an attorney of great magnitude, because I live in Washington, D.C. There's an attorney under every rock. You know, I'm quite certain there's an attorney that's working on your behalf, because maybe this is not wrongful termination based on at will, but it is a sense of discrimination against your political, your religious, your other values. And I'm quite certain that those values are protected under the state of Washington. Am I correct in that regard?
I do believe so.
Now, do you need an attorney at this point, or would you like an?
Yes.
You need an attorney, because I'm going to be honest with you. I live in a city filled with attorneys. If you were to sneeze, they would probably come up with an affidavit about 5 minutes afterwards to take you to court.
Send me one.
You see, this is the type of racist behavior that's intolerable, and no one should be fired because of an assumption of being a racist. You are a racist by the deed, not by the opinion. And if you're offended by the opinion, shut up, close your ears, and move on. You ain't got to stay around and listen. I'm sorry. Vicki Roughton, former Ucantrade employee, Fendale, Washington. For all you attorneys out there that are suffering because of COVID-19 and you're itching at a new case, here you go. Here's a good one and an easy one if you really go for it. Vicki, we thank you so much for being with us tonight. And
I appreciate that.
if anybody wants to get in contact with you, is there a way that they should, or would you prefer that they come through TECN TV and we just refer those things to you?
Have them contact you. You have my contact.
There you go.
I can send you a phone number as well.
There you go. And what would you recommend to people right now in America regarding race relations?
It's pretty simple. We need to drop the word I, he, she, they, and use the word we.
Bingo.
We're in this together.
Amen. Vicki Roughton, thank you so much. Former Ucantrade employee, Fendale, Washington. If there's an attorney in the house, notice I don't ask for a doctor because everyone's wearing a mask. You can't tell anymore. But if there's an attorney in the house, I think you need to dial her up so that she gets her case heard before a court. It is unfair for her religious, for her creed beliefs to be so discriminated against, especially when the organization is sending people to Seattle in protest. This is not fair. This is not just. This is not America. Thank you, Vicki. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless America.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. I am telling you without a shadow of a doubt, there are good people in America who are being hurt because of the wayward narrative that's being used by the communists in the pursuit of establishing quote-unquote justice. And that justice is really just for them, not for us. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. We are not a mob. We're a republic. And in addition to that, we are the best in urban conservative news, talk, and movies. TECN TV, the exceptionalconservativeshow.com. We'll be right back.